So there's a couple reasons why this class exists. The first reason is that I travel around to lots of different fires and talk to lots of different people. And I keep on having this conversation with people that are in fuels and fire. And it goes something like this. How long have you been in fire for? Oh, 10 years. And what's your next move? I don't really know. I just don't really want to be a hotshot anymore, or I don't want to be a blah, 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 whatever anymore. But I don't really know where else to go. And I think I'm just going to switch careers. I'm like, dang it. Like, we just spent 10 years building somebody into all these skill sets and all these things, and then we're going to lose them to a totally different profession. And as I work in the realm of NWCG for training, I recognize that we don't have a good system on building professionals. We have a pretty good system for building technical people, and we build qualifications, but we do not build people in a professional way. And so the University of Idaho recently started an associate's in wildland fuels and fire. I put fuels first on purpose because it starts with fuels. It really does. So the Wildland Fuels and Fire Associates is intended to fill part of the gap that we have to get people into the profession. It isn't so much building professionals within the associates. That's really the job of the person to follow a trajectory and get places. But the associates provides a neat opportunity. In an associate's degree, you can offer classes that are more technical. And this class is really more technical. This is a job getting an information class that wouldn't probably fly in a bachelor's degree curriculum. But because it fits in an associate's, then I have all of a sudden I've got the platform to be able to offer a class like this. So I want this to serve not just University of Idaho, and certainly not just University of Idaho students, but also the broader community, which is why I would like to encourage as much as possible people to attend this class, whatever sessions they wish to attend, as a workshop, and to provide them the resources that that everyone else in the class will have, as far as access to what we'll look at today, the Miro board, like the map of different agencies and how they are laid out. And so that when you make decisions about where you want to go with your career, you're making it from a place of information rather than a place of desperation or just feeling like that's the only option that you've got. So this class exists so that we can acquire and maintain more people within the field of fire and fuels, and that they can feel more confident and empowered in the jobs that they have in those fields. All right, so then we've got trying to get a representation of the agencies. Now I'm in Idaho, so I'm gonna pick agencies that are most likely for people that are somewhat around me to hit. But my end state with this class over several years is to get representation from all kinds of different agencies, so you can just see the different ways that these jobs can be structured. So we've got 2 state agencies here, Idaho and Washington. And then Forest Service, specifically more on the fire side, and then more on the fuel side, Park Service, Fish and Wildlife Service, BLM, Tribe, TNC, Tall Timbers, and then private contractor. So that's our schedule. And each of those people, as I mentioned, is going to be following a similar pattern for presenting to answer those same questions. But as they start to present, we'll start to see how each of them has some similar stories and some different stories as far as their origins go. So on this main page, obviously you found the registration for the Zoom meeting, and then here's our employer org chart. So I'm going to take a tour there for you. This organization chart will be evolving throughout the semester. So what we've got is different agencies and their organizations. And some of the agencies have taken the time to make hyperlinks to different job descriptions, like the Fish and Wildlife Service here. This program that we're in is called Miro. It's a really helpful mapping tool, as you can see. So one thing that I noticed didn't exist is this map, right? A lot of us that have experience in fire are familiar with this chart. This is the organization chart of wildland fire positions. Reality, though, is that these wildland fire positions are only for wildland fire. These aren't day job positions. If you are a staging area manager, that's just your job when you're on a fire assignment. It's not your job when you are working the other 11 months out of the year. So these qualifications are very well organized. The expectations for each of those positions are pretty well laid out. And then the path to achieving those positions is also pretty well laid out. What we don't have very well laid out are things like the path to get to, let's go for the Forest Service over here, to get to a forest supervisor. How do you become a forest supervisor? Do you want it? What does that look like? Would you even want to become a forest supervisor? So getting more information about the trajectory for different jobs. What if you only want to spend a little bit of time in an operational field where you're sleeping on the ground and doing fire assignments? What does it look like to be a fire ecologist? Where do you get to from there? Or a fuels planner. What is even a fuels planner? Maybe you didn't even know that existed. So trying to just raise awareness of the many different types of positions related to fuels and fire. This course is intended to be a lot of storytelling, and not like war storytelling, but just like, I want you all to see the many different ways that us as human beings can be involved in this field. So it's going to include some personal information, not anything like terribly juicy, but stuff that's like this is a part of my story, because fire and fuels is my story. But the other parts of me are my story as well. And what I would like to promote in this story is that there's lots of different ways to be in this field. There's not one color, there's not one gender, there's not one interest, there's not one physical ability that makes it possible to be in this field.